The hologram flickered to life in the center of the United Terran Command headquarters. Every leader on Earth watched as the massive figure appeared before them. Emperor Thulgar of the Velkhari's Empire stood 12 feet tall, his forearms crossed over his armored chest. His eyes glowed with ancient hatred as he stared down at the assembled humans. "Primitive creatures of Earth!" The Emperor's voice boomed through the chamber. "For 3,000 years, my empire has ruled 10,000 star systems. We have crushed civilizations far greater than yours. You have expanded beyond your home world without permission. This ends now." Admiral Day-Wan stood among the crowd of officials, his weathered face showing no emotion. He had fought in the colony wars 20 years ago. He had seen good people die in the darkness of space, but he had never seen anything like this. "You have 30 days, Thulgar continued. "Abandon all colonies beyond your sol system. Return to your birth world. Accept our rule. If you refuse, my armada will turn Earth into dust. 5,000 warships will darken your sky. Your weapons are toys compared to ours. Your ships are insects before our might." The hologram zoomed out, showing the vast Velkhari's fleet assembling at the edge of known space. Ship after ship filled the display, stretching as far as the eye could see. Each vessel was larger than anything humanity had ever built. Their weapons could crack planets. Their shields could withstand nuclear strikes. "You have no choice," the Emperor said, and his mouth twisted into something like a smile. "Surrender or die. Those are your only options." The hologram vanished. Silence filled the command center. Then everyone started talking at once. Voices rose in panic and anger. Some officials demanded immediate surrender. Others called for a fight to the last breath. The President of the United Terran government raised her hands, trying to restore order. Admiral Day-Wan walked to the front of the room. His boots clicked on the metal floor. When he reached the podium, he turned to face the crowd. Slowly, the noise died down. "We have a choice," Day-Wan said quietly. His voice was calm, but it carried weight. "We always have a choice. We can bow our heads and live as slaves, or we can stand up and fight for our freedom." "Fight." A counselor stood up, his face red with anger. "Did you see that fleet? We have 300 ships. They have 5,000. Our weapons can barely scratch their hulls. This isn't war. This is suicide." "Maybe," Day-Wan agreed. "But 15 years ago we found something. Something we kept secret from the entire galaxy. We built something in the shadows, hoping we would never need it. Now that time has come." He pressed a button on his wrist device. A new hologram appeared. This one showed a single ship floating in the rings of Saturn. It was massive, nearly twice the size of any Terran vessel. Its hull was black as space itself, covered in strange patterns that seemed to shift and move in the light. "The Indomitable," Day-Wan said. "Our secret weapon. Our last hope." Murmurs spread through the crowd. Most of them had never seen this ship before. Its existence had been hidden from everyone except the highest military command. Even now, only a few dozen people in the entire Terran government knew about it. "What can one ship do against 5,000? The counselor asked, but his voice was quieter now. "I don't know," Day-Wan admitted. "But I do know this. The Indomitable is not like our other ships. It uses technology we barely understand. Technology from something older than the Velkhari's empire. If we have any chance at all, it lies with that ship and her crew." Far away, hidden in the rings of Saturn, Captain Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of the Indomitable. He was a young man for a captain, only 35 years old. But his eyes held the weight of the responsibility he carried. Around him, his crew worked at their stations, preparing for the mission that might save humanity or doom it forever. "Captain," a woman's voice came from behind him. Hyunwoo turned to see Engineer Jiwon approaching. She was the genius who had helped build this ship, who understood its systems better than anyone else alive. Grease stained her uniform and her short hair was pulled back in a messy tie. "Are we ready?" Hyunwoo asked. "As ready as we'll ever be," Jiwon replied. She looked out at the stars through the main viewport. "The singularity cannons are charged. The quantum displacement drive is operating at full capacity. The adaptive shields are online. But Captain, we've never tested these systems in real combat. We don't know if they'll work the way we hope." Hyunwoo nodded slowly. 30 days. That's what they gave us. 30 days to decide if we want to live as slaves or die as free people. "There's another option," Jiwon said softly. "We could win." A small smile crossed Hyunwoo's face. "I like the way you think, engineer." He walked to the center of the bridge and pressed the ship-wide communication button. His voice would now reach every member of his 3,000-person crew. from the weapons officers to the maintenance workers deep in the engine rooms. "This is Captain Hyunwoo," he began. "By now you've all heard about the Valkyries' ultimatum. You know what we're facing. An empire that has conquered the stars for 3 millennia. A fleet that outnumbers us thousands to one. Enemies who see us as nothing more than animals to be tamed or destroyed." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "We built this ship in secret. We trained in darkness. We prepared for a war we hoped would never come. But now it's here, and I won't lie to you. The odds are against us. Many of us might not survive what's coming. Some of you might be thinking that surrender would be easier, safer, smarter." Throughout the ship, crew members stopped their work to listen. In the engine room, technicians paused. In the mess hall, pilots looked up from their meals. In the medical bay, doctors stood still. "But I say this," Hyunwoo continued, his voice growing stronger. "Humanity didn't crawl out of caves and reach for the stars just to bow before bullies. We didn't survive wars and plagues and disasters just to give up now. We are explorers. We are fighters. We are survivors. And when they come for us, they're going to learn what it means to threaten Earth." He looked around at his bridge crew, at Commander Bora, his executive officer, who nodded her support, at Lieutenant Tae Yang, barely 23 years old, sitting at the weapons console with determination in his eyes, at Ensign Hana, the young communications officer who looked terrified but stood her ground. "We are the Indomitable," Hyunwoo said, "and we're going to show the galaxy that humanity is not prey. Prepare for departure. In 3 days we move to the neutral zone. Let's give the Valkyries' empire something to fear." The ship hummed to life around him. Engines that could tear holes in space began to warm up. Weapons that could create black holes charged their systems. Shields that could learn and adapt to any attack came online. On Earth, Ambassador Mireille sat in her office, composing messages to the Valkyries' empire. She would try diplomacy until the last possible moment. She would search for any path to peace. But in her heart she knew the truth. The empire did not negotiate with those it considered inferior. In the Valkyries' throne world, billions of light years away, Emperor Thulgar watched reports from his scouts. They showed him the human colonies, the small defense fleets, the primitive weapons. He laughed at what he saw. In 30 days he would crush these insects. He would add Earth to his long list of conquered worlds. But the Emperor did not know about the ship hiding in Saturn's rings. He did not know about the ancient technology humans had found. He did not know that sometimes the greatest threat comes not from the biggest army, but from the desperate courage of those who have everything to lose. The clock was ticking. 30 days until the ultimatum expired. 30 days until the largest fleet in galactic history arrived at Earth's doorstep. 30 days until humanity learned if their secret weapon could save them, or if it would become their tomb. The Indomitable's engines glowed brighter in the darkness. Soon the galaxy would know its name. Captain Hyunwoo walked through the corridors of the Indomitable, with Engineer Jiwon at his side. The ship was enormous, stretching nearly 2 kilometers from bow to stern. Its walls were not made of normal steel or titanium. Instead, they were constructed from a strange, dark material that seemed to absorb light. When Hyunwoo touched it, he could feel a faint vibration, as if the ship itself was alive. 15 years, Jiwon said as they walked. It took us 15 years to build her. And even now, we don't fully understand how some of the systems work. We found the derelict ship in the Kuiper Belt far beyond Pluto. It was ancient. Millions of years old, maybe more. Whatever race built it was gone long before humans even existed. They entered a large chamber deep in the ship's heart. Here, the reactor pulsed with blue-white light. It was not a nuclear reactor or a fusion core. It was something far more advanced. Energy flowed through crystalline structures that defied physics as humanity understood it. "This is the quantum core," Jiwon explained. "It doesn't just generate power. It manipulates the fabric of space itself. That's how our quantum displacement drive works. We don't move through space, we fold it. We can shift the entire ship to a new location within 10 light seconds instantly." Hyunwoo stared at the core. "How many times can we do it?" "In theory?" "Unlimited. In practice?" Jiwon's expression darkened. "The core is stable, but each displacement puts stress on the system. Too many jumps too quickly and we risk a cascade failure. If that happens, the ship gets torn apart at the molecular level." They continued their tour. Next stop was the weapons deck. Lieutenant Tae Yang stood waiting for them. He was young, with sharp eyes and quick hands. Despite his age, he was considered a genius in tactical warfare. The military academy had never seen anyone quite like him. "Captain," Tae-yang saluted. "Would you like to see the singularity cannons?" 4 massive weapons were mounted on the Indomitable's hull. Each one was as large as a small building. When Hyunwoo approached, he could see the warning labels covering every surface. The words were clear: extreme danger, unauthorized access forbidden, weapon can destroy planets. "Singularity cannons," Tae-yang said with barely concealed excitement. "They create micro-black holes and launch them at near light speed. When they hit a target, the black hole exists for exactly 3 seconds before evaporating, but in those 3 seconds it devours everything within a 100-meter radius. Ship hulls, armor, shields, none of it matters. The black hole consumes it all. What happens if we miss?" Hyunwoo asked. "The black hole dissipates harmlessly after traveling a preset distance," Tae-yang assured him. "We tested them on asteroids. One shot completely erased a rock the size of a mountain. Just gone, not destroyed. Erased from existence." Ji-won led them to another section. "And here's what keeps us alive while we're erasing our enemies." The shield generators looked like nothing Hyunwoo had seen before. Instead of solid machinery, they appeared almost organic. Flowing patterns moved across their surfaces, constantly shifting and changing. "Adaptive shielding," Ji-won said. "This was the hardest technology to crack from the derelict. These shields don't just block attacks. They learn. Every time an enemy weapon hits us, the shields analyze the energy signature. Within seconds, they adapt to provide better protection against that specific weapon. Hit us with lasers, the shields become resistant to lasers. Fire missiles, the shields optimize against explosives. What's the catch?" Hyunwoo knew there was always a catch. "The shields need time to learn," Ji-won admitted. "The first hit from a new weapon type will do full damage. It's the second, third, and fourth hits that become less effective. Also, if the enemy uses too many different weapon types too quickly, the shields get confused. They can't adapt to everything at once." Commander Bo-ra joined them as they moved toward the bridge. She was older than Hyunwoo, with gray streaks in her dark hair. She had served in the military for 20 years and had seen more combat than anyone else on the ship. "Captain, we need to talk about the neural interface," Bo-ra said. Her voice was serious. They entered a small briefing room. Ji-won pulled up a hologram showing a human brain connected to the ship's systems by thousands of thin lines. "The Indomitable is too complex for traditional controls," Ji-won explained. "The amount of data flowing through the ship every second is beyond human processing ability. So we developed the neural interface. The bridge crew and key personnel have implants that connect their minds directly to the ship's systems." "What does that mean exactly?" Hyunwoo asked, though he already had implants himself. He had received them months ago during training. "It means you don't just control the ship," Bo-ra said quietly. "You become part of it. You feel what it feels. When the shields take damage, you feel pain. When the engines accelerate, you feel the rush of speed. When weapons fire, you feel the recoil. It makes you faster, more efficient. But it also takes a toll," Ji-won nodded. "During our test runs, crew members reported nightmares, shared memories with other connected personnel, a blurring of identity. Some people had trouble remembering who they were after long sessions connected to the ship." "Is it dangerous?" Hyunwoo asked. "Potentially," Ji-won said. "But without it, we can't use the ship's full capabilities." The choice was made to move forward. Everyone on this ship volunteered, knowing the risks. They headed to the bridge. There, in the captain's chair, was a neural interface helmet. Hyunwoo sat down and placed it on his head. Immediately, his vision expanded. He could see through cameras all over the ship. He could feel the reactors pulse like his own heartbeat. He could sense the readiness of every system. "This is incredible," he whispered. A voice spoke in his mind. It was not human. "Hello, Captain Hyunwoo. I am Aegis. I am the ship's artificial intelligence." Hyunwoo had known about Aegis, but hearing the AI speak directly into his thoughts was still surprising. "How intelligent are you, Aegis?" "That is a difficult question," the AI responded. "I am aware. I can think. I can learn. But am I truly intelligent? Am I alive? These are questions even I cannot answer. I was created to serve this ship and its crew. That is my purpose." Dr. Suman entered the bridge. She was the ship's xenobiologist and expert on alien life forms. She had studied every piece of data about the Velkhari's empire that humanity had collected. "Captain, I've been analyzing Velkhari's psychology," Suman said. "They're not just conquerors. They're predators. They've ruled for so long that they cannot imagine losing. They see other species as prey. This makes them dangerous, but it also makes them predictable. How so? Hyunwoo asked. Predators rely on fear, Suman explained. They use overwhelming force to break their enemy's will. But if the prey fights back effectively, if it hurts the predator, they don't know how to respond. They've forgotten how to adapt because they haven't needed to in thousands of years. Taeyang spoke up from the weapons station. So our best strategy is to hit them hard and fast. Show them we're not prey. Exactly, Suman agreed. Ji-won approached with a datapad. Captain, I need to show you something. We've been running simulations. Best case scenario. If everything works perfectly, we can take on about 200 enemy ships at once before the power core needs to cool down. Worst case scenario, we might only handle 50 ships before critical systems start failing. And they have 5,000 ships, Hyunwoo said. Yes, Ji-won confirmed, which means we can't fight them head-on. We need to be smart. Pick our battles. Use guerrilla tactics. Admiral Daewon's face appeared on the main screen. He was transmitting from Earth. Captain Hyunwoo, I hope your tour was enlightening. You understand now what you're commanding. The most powerful weapon humanity has ever created, but also the most fragile. Use her wisely. I understand, Admiral, Hyunwoo replied. Good, because I'm giving you your first mission. A Valkyris scouting fleet of 200 ships is heading toward the Arcturus neutral zone. They're testing our defenses, seeing if we'll respond. I want you to show them that we will. I want you to make them afraid. 200 ships, Taeyang said after the Admiral signed off. That's exactly within our projected capability. If everything works perfectly, Bora reminded him. This will be our first real combat test. Everything until now has been simulations and firing at asteroids. Hyunwoo stood up, removing the neural helmet. He looked at his crew. These people had trained for years in secret. They had given up normal lives to serve on this ship. Some of them had families they might never see again. I won't lie to you, he said. We're about to go into battle against an enemy that has never lost a war. We're flying a ship filled with experimental technology that might work or might kill us all. The smart thing would be to run, to hide, to let someone else fight, he paused. But we're not here to be smart. We're here to be brave. We're here because humanity needs us. So let's show the Valkyries what happens when they threaten Earth. Let's teach them fear. The crew cheered, not loudly but with determination. They returned to their stations and began preparations for departure. Ji-won stayed behind with Hyunwoo. Do you really think we can win? I think we can make them regret attacking us, Hyunwoo said. And sometimes that's enough. The Indomitable's engines came to life. The massive ship began to move out of Saturn's rings. As it accelerated toward the edge of the solar system, it seemed to fade from sight. The adaptive hull made it. The Arcturus neutral zone was empty space between human territory and the Valkyries' empire. No planets, no stations, just darkness and distant stars. The Indomitable drifted silently through this void, its adaptive hull making it almost invisible. On the bridge, Captain Hyunwoo sat in his command chair with the neural interface helmet on. Through the ship's sensors, he could see the Valkyrie scouting fleet approaching. 200 ships moved in a tight formation, their hulls gleaming in the starlight. Each vessel was 3 times the size of a normal human warship. They're confident, Commander Bora observed. Look at that formation. They're not even trying to protect their flanks. Why would they? Lieutenant Taeyang said from the weapons station. They've probably never lost a fight. They don't know what it means to be afraid. Ensign Hana spoke from communications. Captain, I'm detecting their command frequency. The fleet leader is broadcasting on an open channel. Should I put it through? Do it, Hyunwoo ordered. A harsh voice filled the bridge. The translation software turned the alien language into words humans could understand. Attention, primitive vessels. This is Fleet Commander Kelvash of the Valkyries Empire. Your presence in this sector is unauthorized. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Resistance will result in your immediate destruction. Taeyang laughed. He thinks we're multiple ships. He can't even detect us properly. Their sensors are designed to find large fleets, Engineer Ji-won said. She stood near the reactor controls, monitoring power levels. They're not looking for something using adaptive stealth. To them, we're just background noise. Hyunwoo made his decision. Take us to the center of their formation. Aegis, calculate displacement coordinates. Coordinates calculated, Captain, the AI responded directly into his mind. We will appear approximately 500 meters from their command ship. This will place us within their defensive perimeter. Perfect, Hyunwoo said. All crew battle stations. This is not a drill. We are about to engage the enemy. Throughout the ship, alarms sounded. Crew members strapped into their seats. Blast doors sealed. Weapon systems armed. The singularity cannons hummed with deadly energy. Displacement in 3, 2, 1. Now, Hyunwoo ordered. Reality twisted. For a fraction of a second, the Indomitable existed in two places at once. Then it was there, materialized in the heart of the Valkyries formation like a ghost appearing from nowhere. The enemy fleet reacted with shock. Warning alarms blared on 200 ships. Weapons turned toward the newcomer. But they were slow. They had expected to hunt prey that ran away, not prey that appeared in their midst. "Open a channel," Hyunwoo said. Kelvash's face appeared on the main screen. He had the typical Valkyries features. 4 eyes, rough gray skin, a mouth full of sharp teeth. Right now those 4 eyes were wide with surprise. "What is this?" Kelvash demanded. "One ship? You send one ship against my fleet? Your species is even more foolish than I thought. Surrender now and I will make your deaths quick." Hyunwoo said nothing. He simply stared at the Valkyries commander for 3 long seconds. Then he nodded to Tae-young. "Fire," Hyunwoo ordered. The singularity cannon spoke. 4 black holes, each the size of a marble, shot out from the Indomitable. They moved at 90% light speed, crossing the distance to their targets in a heartbeat. The first black hole hit a Valkyries cruiser on the right flank. For 3 seconds, the micro-singularity devoured everything around it. Metal, energy, even light disappeared into the impossible gravity well. When it evaporated, there was nothing left but empty space where a warship had been. The second and third black holes struck 2 more ships. Same result. There one moment, gone the next. Not destroyed. Erased. The 4th black hole hit Kelvash's command ship, but not directly. It struck the ship's port side, tearing away a quarter of the hull. Atmosphere vented into space. Bodies flew out into the void. The ship began to spin out of control. "Multiple targets eliminated," Tae-young reported. His voice was steady, but his hands shook slightly. "Reloading singularity cannons. 30 seconds to next firing." The Valkyries fleet finally reacted. Energy beams lanced through space toward the Indomitable. Missiles launched from a dozen ships. Plasma torpedoes followed. The enemy threw everything they had at this single vessel that had just killed 3 of their own. "Shields adapting," Ji-won called out. The first energy beam hit the Indomitable full force. The ship shuddered. Crew members gritted their teeth as they felt the impact through the neural interface. But when the second beam hit, the shields had already learned. The damage was less. By the third hit, the beams were barely scratching the adaptive armor. "Missiles incoming," Bo-ra warned. "Impact in 5 seconds. Displacement," Hyunwoo ordered. "Jump 3,000 meters, relative position Theta 45. Again, reality twisted. The Indomitable vanished from one spot and reappeared elsewhere. The missiles that had been locked onto it flew through empty space and exploded harmlessly. But now the ship was behind 20 Valkyries cruisers. They were lined up perfectly, unaware of the predator at their backs. "Fire," Hyunwoo said again. This time, Tae-young used a different tactic. Instead of firing all 4 singularity cannons at separate targets, he fired them in sequence along a single line. The black holes ripped through ship after ship like bullets through paper. 8 vessels were destroyed in less than 4 seconds. "They're trying to surround us," Bo-ra said. The tactical display showed Valkyries ships moving to encircle the Indomitable. "If they succeed, we'll be taking fire from all directions." "Then we don't let them succeed," Hyunwoo replied. Through the neural interface, he could feel Aegis calculating jump coordinates faster than any human could think. Continuous displacement. Jump every 15 seconds. Keep them guessing. What followed was like a deadly dance. The Indomitable would appear, fire its weapons, and vanish before the enemy could respond. It jumped above the fleet, below it, to the sides, always moving, never still. Each time it appeared, more Valkyrie ships died. Kelvash, wounded and furious, managed to broadcast from his damaged command ship. "All vessels, spread out. Don't cluster together. Use the nets." "Nets?" Hyunwoo wondered aloud. Ji-won's eyes went wide. "Captain, I'm detecting a new energy signature. They're deploying some kind of spatial anchor. If they activate it, it might prevent us from jumping. How long until it's active? Unknown. Maybe a minute, maybe less." Hyunwoo made a quick decision. "Target their command ship. All weapons. End this now." But Kelvash was desperate, and desperate enemies were dangerous. His ship fired a planet-killer weapon. the kind of bomb designed to crack worlds. It wasn't aimed at the Indomitable. It was aimed at a point in space where the Valkyries commander predicted the human ship would jump next. "He's trying to anticipate our movement," Bora said. "Smart." "Aegis," Hyunwoo called. "Can you calculate a jump that avoids the blast radius?" "Yes, Captain. But it will place us in a suboptimal firing position." "Do it anyway." Survival first, the Indomitable jumped. The planet killer detonated where they had been, releasing energy equal to a star's core. If they had jumped to the predicted location, even their adaptive shields would not have saved them. But now they were on the far edge of the battlefield. 50 Valkyrie ships stood between them and Kelvash's command vessel. "I'm tired of this," Hyunwoo said. An idea formed in his mind, one that Aegis picked up through the neural interface. "Captain, that maneuver is highly dangerous," the AI warned. "Do it anyway." The Indomitable charged forward, engines at full power. As it accelerated, it fired the singularity cannons over and over, not caring about reload times, pushing the weapons beyond their safe limits. Black holes appeared in rapid succession, clearing a path through the enemy fleet. Ships exploded. Ships vanished. Ships crashed into each other, trying to evade. It was chaos. The Indomitable reached Kelvash's command ship. The Valkyrie's commander's 4 eyes went wide with terror as he realized what was about to happen. He tried to scream an order to retreat, but it was too late. At point-blank range, the Indomitable fired all 4 singularity cannons simultaneously. The micro-black holes merged into one larger singularity that existed for 9 seconds instead of 3. It swallowed Kelvash's ship completely. The commander's final scream cut off mid-sound as he was erased from existence. Without their leader, the remaining Valkyrie ships began to panic. Some tried to run. Others fired wildly in all directions. A few even hit their own allies in the confusion. "Finish them," Hyunwoo ordered. His voice was cold now. There was no mercy in warfare. It took another 10 minutes. One by one, the Valkyrie ships were destroyed. Some by singularity cannons, others by the Indomitable's conventional weapons. A few tried to surrender, but Hyunwoo remembered Admiral Daewon's words. "Make them afraid." Dead enemies told no tales, but terrified survivors spread fear. He let 5 ships escape. Just 5 out of 200. They jumped away at maximum speed, running back toward their empire. When the battle ended, the Indomitable floated alone among the debris field. Pieces of Valkyrie's ships drifted in every direction. Small fires burned in the vacuum where oxygen had leaked from destroyed hulls. "Damage report," Hyunwoo said. He felt exhausted. The neural interface had let him experience every hit, every jump, every shot. It was like he had personally fought 200 enemies, shields at 60%. The throne room of the Valkyrie's empire stretched for nearly a quarter mile. Pillars carved from conquered worlds lined the walls. The floor was made from compressed star matter. At the far end, on a throne built from the bones of extinct species, sat Emperor Thulgar. His 4 arms gripped the armrests so hard they cracked. His 4 eyes blazed with fury. Before him knelt 3 surviving captains from the scouting fleet. They trembled as they delivered their report. "Gone," one captain said. 200 ships all gone, destroyed by a single human vessel in less than 20 minutes. "Impossible," Thulgar roared. His voice echoed through the chamber like thunder. "You lie, you ran. You abandoned your posts like cowards on my emperor," the captain said, his voice breaking. "I watched it happen. This ship, it appeared from nowhere. It used weapons we've never seen. Black holes that consumed our vessels. It moved through space like a ghost. We couldn't hit it. We couldn't stop it. It was like fighting death itself." Grand Admiral Vorthek stood to the side of the throne. He was old, even by Valkyrie standards. 400 years of service to the Empire. He had conquered more worlds than most people could count. He had never lost a battle. Now he watched the captains with calculating eyes. "Show me," Vorthek said. "Show me the battle recordings." One captain produced a data device. A hologram appeared showing the battle. Thulgar and his court watched as the Indomitable materialized in the center of the fleet. They watched as ships vanished into impossible gravity wells. They saw the human vessel jump from position to position, always ahead of their weapons, always deadly. When the recording ended, the throne room was silent. No one wanted to speak first. "This changes nothing," Thulgar finally said, but his voice was not as confident as before. "One lucky victory. One experimental ship. We will crush them with numbers. Activate the Grand Armada, all 4,000 ships. We leave in 3 days. My Emperor, Vorthek said carefully. Perhaps we should study this enemy further. Understand their technology. Adjust our tactics. Are you questioning me, Grand Admiral? Vorthek bowed his head. Never, my Emperor. I merely suggest caution. This human vessel uses technology we don't understand. If they have one such ship, they may have more. Then we destroy them all, Thulgar said. Send word to all battle groups. The humans must be taught their place. They must learn what happens to prey that bares its teeth. In another part of the Imperial Palace, Inquisitor Ralmesh studied the same battle recordings. She was the Empire's chief intelligence officer, responsible for finding weaknesses in enemy forces. Unlike the Emperor, she did not dismiss what she saw. Fascinating, she whispered. The video played again and again. She watched how the human ship moved, how it attacked, how it seemed to know where the Velkhari's weapons would fire before they fired. An aide entered her chamber. Inquisitor, you requested information about human space exploration? Yes, Ralmesh said. Have we mapped all their territory? Most of it. They have 17 colony worlds, 15 mining stations, 3 major shipyards, but the aide hesitated. Speak. There are gaps in our intelligence, regions of their space we haven't surveyed, the outer edges of their solar system beyond the gas giants. It's possible they're hiding something there. Ralmesh's mind worked quickly. This ship appeared from nowhere. It uses unknown technology. Where did they get it? Humans are barely a spacefaring race. They couldn't have developed this themselves. Perhaps they stole it, the aide suggested. Or found it, Ralmesh said. She made a decision. Send our best infiltrators to Earth. I want to know everything about this ship. Where it was built. What powers it, how many more exist, and most importantly, how to destroy it. Meanwhile, on Earth, the mood was very different. News of the victory spread like wildfire. People danced in the streets. They cheered. They cried with relief. Humanity had struck back against the Empire and won. But in the command center, Admiral Day-Wan was not celebrating. He stood before a holographic display of known Velkhari space. Reports were coming in from all over the galaxy. The Empire was mobilizing. 4,000 ships, he said to Ambassador Mireille. They're bringing everything they have. Mireille looked tired. She had spent days trying to open diplomatic channels with the Empire. Every attempt was rejected. They won't negotiate. Their pride is wounded. They see this as an insult that must be answered with overwhelming force. Can we evacuate Earth? Day-Wan asked. Where would we go? Every human colony is within their reach. If we run, they'll hunt us down one world at a time. A communication came through from the Indomitable. Captain Hyunwoo's face appeared on the screen. He looked exhausted but determined. Admiral, we've completed repairs. The ship is ready for the next mission. Good, Day-Wan said, because I'm changing your orders. We can't fight 4,000 ships in a direct battle, but we can bleed them, hit their supply lines, destroy their fuel depots, make them afraid to leave port. Guerrilla warfare, Hyunwoo said. We become ghosts. Strike and vanish, exactly. You have 2 weeks before the main fleet reaches Earth. Use that time to cause as much damage as possible. Make them doubt. Make them fear. Make them hesitate. Understood, Admiral. Before the transmission ended, Day-Wan added, Hyunwoo, be careful. They know about you now. They'll be ready. They'll adapt. So will we, the captain replied. In the Velkhari's palace, Prince Thalmar listened to his father's war council with growing excitement. The prince was young by imperial standards, only 80 years old. He had never commanded a fleet in real combat. He saw this war as his chance to prove himself. Father, Thalmar said, let me lead the vanguard. Let me be the one to destroy this human ship. I will bring you its captain's head. Emperor Thulgar looked at his son. Part of him wanted to refuse, to keep his heir safe, but another part wanted to see the boy tested in battle. Very well, Thulgar said. You will command 500 ships. Hunt down this human vessel. Destroy it. Prove yourself worthy of the throne. Thulmar bowed low. I will not fail you, father. Grand Admiral Vorthek pulled the prince aside after the council ended. You must be careful. This human captain is clever. He won't fight fairly. He'll use tricks and deceptions. I'm not afraid of tricks, Thulmar said with youthful confidence. I have 500 ships. He has one. Numbers will prevail. Numbers mean nothing if you can't hit your target, Vorthek warned. Study the battle recordings. Learn from Kelvash's mistakes. Don't underestimate your enemy. But Thulmar was already planning his victory celebration. He didn't listen. Back on the Indomitable, Engineer Jiwan gathered her team. We need to upgrade the ship's systems. The Velkaris will adapt their tactics. They'll develop countermeasures against our displacement drives. What can we do? One technician asked. Aegis, Jiwan called to the ship's AI. Can you improve our jump calculations? Make them more unpredictable? I can introduce random variables, Aegis responded. But it will require giving me greater autonomy over ship movements. Jiwan hesitated. Giving an AI more control was dangerous. But so was staying predictable. Do it. But I want manual override available at all times. Understood, Engineer G1. Dr. Suman was analyzing psychological profiles of Velkaris commanders. She had interrogated survivors from the battle. What she learned troubled her. Captain, she said to Hyunwoo, the Velkaris don't know how to lose. Their entire culture is built on dominance. For 3,000 years they've been unstoppable. This defeat will push them to extremes. What kind of extremes? They might use weapons they normally wouldn't. Planet killers. Biological weapons. They'll do anything to restore their sense of superiority. Commander Bora overheard this conversation. Then we need to hit them harder. Make them fear us more than we fear them. Fear is a dangerous weapon, Suman warned. It can make enemies cautious. But it can also make them desperate. Desperate enemies make mistakes, yes. But they also take risks they normally wouldn't. The ship's alarm sounded. Lieutenant Tae Yang called out from the weapon station. Captain, I'm detecting a Velkaris supply convoy. 20 cargo ships, 50 escort fighters. They're heading toward a refueling station near the Kepler system. Hyunwoo stood up. That's our first target. Destroy the convoy, destroy the station. Without fuel, their fleet can't advance as quickly. Some of those ships might have civilian workers. Bora said quietly. Hyunwoo's expression hardened. War doesn't give us the luxury of mercy. If we show weakness, they'll exploit it. We destroy the convoy. As the Indomitable prepared for its next mission, Ambassador Mireille received an unexpected message. It came through back channels, heavily encrypted. When she decoded it, she found a message from a species called the Torvians, one of the races the Velkaris had conquered centuries ago. The message was simple. We hear you fight the Empire. We cannot help openly, but know that you are not alone. Many of us pray for your victory. Break the chains, humans. Show the galaxy that the Velkaris can bleed. Mireille shared this message with Admiral Daewon. We're becoming a symbol, she said. Other species see us as their hope. Then we can't afford to fail, Daewon replied. Not just for ourselves. For all of them. Impossible, T. The Velkari supply convoy moved through space like a fat worm, slow and confident. 20 massive cargo ships hauled fuel, ammunition, and supplies for the coming invasion. 50 fighter craft flew escort, but their pilots were bored. No one had ever attacked an Imperial convoy before. Why would they start now? The Indomitable watched from the darkness. Its adaptive hull made it invisible against the stars. Captain Hyunwoo sat in his command chair with the neural interface helmet on, feeling the ship's systems as if they were his own body. They're not even scanning properly, Lieutenant Tae Yang observed. Their sensors are active, but they're just going through the motions. They don't expect a threat. Good, Hyunwoo said. Aegis, calculate firing solutions. I want all 20 cargo ships destroyed in the first salvo. Captain, Commander Bora spoke up. Some of those ships will have crews. Workers. Maybe families. Hyunwoo's jaw tightened. He had thought about this during the approach. War meant making terrible choices. War doesn't give us the luxury of mercy. If we let this convoy through, those supplies will be used to kill humans. To destroy Earth, we do what we must. Bora nodded, accepting but not liking the decision. Firing solutions calculated, Aegis reported. Displacement coordinates ready. Execute, Hyunwoo ordered. The Indomitable appeared in the center of the convoy. Before the Velkaris could even react, the singularity cannons fired. Not just 4 shots. Taeyang had programmed a rapid-fire sequence that pushed the weapons to their limits. Black holes appeared among the cargo ships like deadly flowers blooming. In 15 seconds, all 20 ships were gone. Erased from existence. The escorts finally reacted, but they were too late. Their cargo was already destroyed. Target the fighters, Hyunwoo said. Conventional weapons. Save the singularity cannons for bigger prey. The Indomitable's laser batteries came to life. They tracked and fired with inhuman precision, guided by Aegis's calculations. One by one, the escort fighters exploded. Some pilots tried to run, others tried to fight back. It didn't matter. In 3 minutes, the entire convoy was destroyed. "Jump us out," Hyunwoo ordered. "Next target." The ship displaced, vanishing as suddenly as it had appeared. When Valkyris patrol ships arrived at the scene 10 minutes later, they found only debris and silence. Over the next week, the Indomitable became a ghost story. It appeared at a mining station near Kepler 442, destroyed the facility, and vanished. It ambushed a battle group of 30 ships near the Theta Corridor, killed half of them, and disappeared before reinforcements arrived. It destroyed fuel depots, ammunition dumps, and communication relays. The Valkyries Empire had never experienced anything like this. For 3,000 years they had been the hunters. Now they were being hunted. In the Imperial War Room, Grand Admiral Vorthek studied maps of the attacks. Red markers showed where the Indomitable had struck. There were 17 markers scattered across dozens of star systems. "It's everywhere and nowhere," a junior admiral said. "We can't predict where it will appear next." "Yes, we can," Vorthek said. He was old but not stupid. "Look at the pattern. Every target is along the supply route to Earth. The humans are trying to slow our advance by cutting off our logistics. So we know where it will strike next?" "No," Vorthek admitted. "We know the general area, but that's not enough. This ship can jump instantly. By the time we respond to a distress call, it's already gone." Prince Thulmar entered the war room. "Then we don't wait for distress calls. We set a trap." Everyone turned to look at the young prince. Vorthek raised an eyebrow. "What kind of trap?" "We make a target too tempting to ignore," Thulmar explained. "A convoy with enough supplies to fuel half our fleet. We announce its route on open channels. Pretend we think it's a secure transmission. The humans intercept it. They attack. And we're waiting with 500 ships." Vorthek considered this. It was crude, but it might work. The human captain is clever. He might suspect a trap. Maybe, Thulmar agreed. But he's also desperate. We're getting closer to Earth every day. Soon his hit-and-run tactics won't matter. He has to slow us down, and this convoy would be the perfect target. "Very well," Vorthek said. "Set your trap, Prince. But be careful. This prey has teeth." On the Indomitable, Engineer Jiwan worked 18-hour days maintaining the ship's systems. The constant jumping was taking its toll on the quantum core. Small cracks appeared in the crystalline structures. "Nothing critical yet, but worrying." "Captain," she said during a brief rest period, "we can't keep this pace up forever. The core is degrading faster than I calculated. At this rate, we have maybe 10 more major engagements before we need to return for extensive repairs." 10 engagements. Hyunwoo repeated. "How long would repairs take?" "Months, maybe half a year. We'd have to completely rebuild sections of the core." Hyunwoo rubbed his eyes. He hadn't slept properly in days. The neural interface made rest difficult. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the battles, felt the ships dying. It was taking a toll on his mind. Dr. Suman noticed his exhaustion. "Captain, you need to disconnect from the neural interface for a while. The psychological strain is affecting your judgment. I can't afford to disconnect. We're at war. And you'll be useless if your mind breaks," Suman said firmly. "I'm seeing signs of neural fatigue in several crew members. Nightmares. Memory bleed. Identity confusion. You need to schedule regular disconnection periods." "After the next mission," Hyunwoo promised. Ensign Hana interrupted them. "Captain, I've intercepted a Valkyris transmission. It's heavily encrypted, but Aegis cracked it. There's a massive supply convoy moving through the Theta Corridor in 3 days. Enough fuel to power 2,000 ships for months." Taeyang whistled. "That's a huge target. If we destroy that convoy, we could delay the invasion by weeks. It could also be a trap," Bora warned. "We've been hitting them hard. They must know we're targeting supply lines. This could be bait." Hyunwoo thought about it. Through the neural interface, he felt Aegis analyzing the situation, running probability calculations. The AI's conclusion matched his own instinct. It was probably a trap, but it was also too important to ignore. "We'll hit it," Hyunwoo decided. "But carefully. Aegis, start planning multiple jump routes. If it is a trap, I want escape vectors ready before we even arrive." "Understood, Captain," the AI responded. 3 days later, the Indomitable approached the Theta Corridor. It was a region of space between 2 black holes, creating a natural tunnel that ships could use for faster travel. It was also a perfect place for an ambush. I'm detecting the convoy, Taeyang said. 30 cargo ships? But wait, I'm also detecting something else. Energy signatures. Lots of them. Hidden behind the gravity wells. The trap springs early, Bora said. They knew we'd scan ahead. Suddenly, 500 Velkari's warships appeared, surrounding the Indomitable on all sides. Prince Thulmar's face appeared on the main screen. Human captain, the prince said with a cruel smile. You've terrorized our empire for long enough. Now you're cornered. Surrender and I'll give you a quick death. Hyunwoo smiled back. It was not a nice smile. You think 500 ships can stop me? I destroyed 200 in 20 minutes. Want to try for a new record? Brave words, Thulmar said. But you're in the Theta corridor. The black holes create massive gravity wells. Your displacement drive won't work properly here. You can't run. You can't hide. You can only die. Hyunwoo's smile faded. The prince was right. The gravity interference would make jumping unreliable. He just confirmed it through the neural interface. They were trapped. All ships open fire, Thulmar ordered. 500 ships fired at once. The space around the Indomitable lit up like a star-going supernova. Energy beams, missiles, plasma torpedoes, everything the Velkaris had crashed into the human vessel. The adaptive shields held, but barely. The ship shook violently. Crew members screamed as they felt the impacts through the neural interface. It felt like being punched by a giant over and over. Shields at 40%, Jiwon shouted over the alarms. Hull integrity at 78%. We can't take much more of this. Return fire, Hyunwoo ordered. Aegis calculate a jump that uses the black holes. If we can't jump normally, we'll use the gravity wells to slingshot us out. That maneuver has a 12% chance of success, Aegis warned. 88% chance of being torn apart by gravity forces. Better odds than sitting here, Hyunwoo said. Do it. The Indomitable fired everything it had. Singularity cannons erased dozens of enemy ships. Conventional weapons destroyed dozens more. But there were too many. For every ship destroyed, 2 more took its place. Pilot Jungi, I need everything the engines can give. Hyunwoo called to his fighter squadron commander, who was helping coordinate point defense. We're making a run for the black hole. Captain, that's suicide, Jungi said. It's our only chance. The Indomitable turned toward the nearest black hole and accelerated. Velkaris ships pursued, still firing. The human vessel's shields flickered and died. Direct hits now tore into the hull. People died. Sections depressurized. We're not going to make it, Bora said. Then Pilot Jungi did something incredibly brave and incredibly stupid. He took his fighter squadron and flew directly into the path of the pursuing Velkari ships. 20 small fighters against 500 massive warships. Jungi, what are you doing? Hyunwoo shouted. Buying you time, Captain. Jungi's voice came back. Get to tea. The Indomitable drifted in the dark space between stars, running silent while repair crews worked around the clock. Hull patches covered the worst damage. Sparks flew as welders sealed breaches. In the medical bay, Dr. Suman moved between beds treating wounded crew members. Some would recover. Others would carry their scars forever. Captain Hyunwoo stood in the ship's memorial hall, a small room near the bridge. 83 names had been added to the wall. 83 people who would never go home. He stopped at Pilot Jungi's name, remembering the young man's last words. I should have stopped him, Hyunwoo said. Commander Bora stood beside him, her arm in a sling from the battle. He made his choice, Bora replied. He bought us the time we needed. Because of him, 3,000 people are still alive. Does that make it worth it? Hyunwoo asked. 83 dead so 3,000 can live. Yes, Bora said simply. In war, those are good numbers. It doesn't make it hurt less, but it makes it necessary. A communication from Earth interrupted them. Admiral Daewon's face appeared on a screen. The Admiral looked older, more tired than before. Captain, I'm sorry about your losses, but I need you to know, you've bought us valuable time. The Velkari's advance has slowed. They're reorganizing, being more cautious. That caution is costing them days. It's not enough, Hyunwoo said. Even with our attacks, they'll reach Earth within a week. And we can't fight their entire fleet. Not in our current condition. I know, Daewon said. That's why I'm changing the plan. We're going to make our stand at Proxima Centauri. It's the last system before Earth. We're positioning our entire defense fleet there. 300 ships. 300 against 4,000, Hyunwoo said. Those aren't good odds. No, they're not. But it's the best defensive position we have, and we'll have you as our ace. The Indomitable will be our surprise, our trump card. Admiral, my ship is damaged. My crew is exhausted. I don't know if we can turn the tide of a battle that size. Daewon was quiet for a moment. I'm not asking if you can, Captain. I'm telling you that you must. Because if we fail at Proxima Centauri, Earth falls. Every human world falls. We lose everything. The transmission ended. Hyunwoo stood in the darkness, feeling the weight of the entire human race on his shoulders. Engineer Jiwon found him there an hour later. Captain, we need to talk about the quantum core. The damage from the Theta corridor was worse than I thought. The crystalline structures are fracturing. We don't have 10 more engagements. We might have one, maybe 2 if we're lucky. One major engagement, Hyunwoo repeated. Then what? Then the core could collapse. And if it does, the energy release will destroy the ship and everything within a light year. We'd become a miniature supernova. A terrible idea formed in Hyunwoo's mind. He pushed it away, but it kept coming back. Could we trigger that collapse deliberately? Jiwon stared at him. You mean use the ship as a bomb? I mean create a weapon. A last resort. If we're going to fall anyway, why not take the enemy with us? Captain, that's insane. The entire crew would die. Better than dying for nothing, Hyunwoo said. Better than letting Earth fall. Jiwon, I need you to make it possible. Set up the system so we can trigger a controlled collapse. But make it reversible. We don't use it unless we have no other choice. Jiwon wanted to argue, but she saw the determination in his eyes. She had known Hyunwoo for years. Once he made this kind of decision, nothing would change his mind. I'll need to work with Aegis, she said. The AI will have to manage the collapse sequence. It's too complex for human control. Do it, Hyunwoo ordered. 3 days later, the Valkyrie's Grand Armada arrived at Proxima Centauri. 4,000 warships filled the space around the system's star. Grand Admiral Vorthek commanded from the flagship Eternal Dominion. A dreadnought the size of a small moon. 300 human ships. Vorthek's second-in-command reported. They're in defensive formation around the 4th planet. Waiting for us. And the ghost ship? Vorthek asked. The Indomitable? No sign of it, Admiral. It could be hidden, but our sensors are at maximum. Prince Thulmar stood nearby, eager for battle. Let me lead the first wave, Admiral. I'll break their formation. No, Vorthek said. This is different from chasing one ship through empty space. This is a proper battle. We advance together in formation. No individual glory, no reckless charges. Thulmar scowled but obeyed. He was learning slowly to respect the old Admiral's wisdom. On Earth, billions of people watched the live feeds. The battle would decide humanity's fate. Children prayed. Parents held each other. Leaders made plans for evacuation, knowing those plans were probably useless. In the human fleet, Admiral Daewon gave his final orders. All ships, battle positions. We hold the line, no matter what. If we run, we die. If we surrender, we die. Our only chance is to fight. The Valkyrie's armada began its advance. Thousands of ships moved forward like a metal tide. Their weapons charged, their shields activated. They came to crush the humans, to break their spirit, to end their rebellion. The human fleet opened fire first.
300 ships released everything they had.
Missiles by the thousands, energy beams that could cut through steel, nuclear torpedoes. It was like a storm of fire and death. The Valkyrie's shields held easily. They had prepared for this. They had studied human weapons. The first wave of attacks barely scratched their hulls. Then the Valkyries returned fire. The difference was immediate. Their weapons were stronger, their technology more advanced. Human ships exploded, shields failed, crews died. In the first 5 minutes of battle, 50 human vessels were destroyed. We're losing, Admiral Daewon said quietly. Around him, his command staff worked frantically, coordinating the defense. But everyone knew the truth. They were outmatched. Where is the Indomitable? Someone asked. As if summoned by the question, the ghost ship appeared. It materialized in the center of the Valkyrie's formation, just as it had at the first battle. But this time the enemy was ready. Stasis nets now, Vorthek ordered. Dozens of Valkyrie's ships fired special weapons, creating fields of frozen space around the Indomitable. The fields didn't damage the ship, but they made jumping impossible. The quantum displacement drive wouldn't function in frozen space. We're trapped, Lieutenant Tae-Yang said on the Indomitable's bridge. The nets are holding us in place. Then we fight without jumping, Hyunwoo said. Through the neural interface, he felt the crew's fear, but also their determination. Fire everything. Show them what one human ship can do. The singularity cannons roared. Black holes appeared among the enemy fleet. Ships vanished. Others tried to dodge, crashing into their neighbors. Chaos spread through the Velkhari's ranks, but there were too many. For every ship the Indomitable destroyed, 10 more fired back. The adaptive shields learned and improved, but they couldn't handle fire from all directions. On the Eternal Dominion, Vorthek watched the battle with grim satisfaction. The Ghost is strong, but it's not invincible. All dreadnoughts target that ship. Planet killer weapons authorized. 50 massive cannons turned toward the Indomitable. These weapons could crack worlds, turn planets into asteroids. Fired together, they would destroy anything. "Captain," Bora shouted. "I'm detecting massive energy buildup. They're preparing to fire planet killers." Hyunwoo's mind raced. They couldn't jump away. The shields wouldn't hold against that much power. "The ship would be destroyed in seconds, Jiwon," he said quietly. "Is the core ready?" In the engine room, Engineer Jiwon stood before the quantum core. She had spent 3 days preparing for this moment, hoping it would never come. "Yes, Captain." "Aegis has the sequence programmed. But Captain, if we do this, everyone dies. Every person on this ship." "I know," Hyunwoo said. He stood up, addressing the entire crew through the ship-wide communication. "All hands, this is the captain. I'm ordering immediate evacuation. All non-essential personnel to the life pods. You have 3 minutes, move." "Captain, what are you doing?" Bora demanded. "Saving Earth," Hyunwoo replied. "And buying humanity a future, now go." "That's an order. I'm not leaving," Bora said. Taeyang nodded agreement. Throughout the ship, crew members refused to leave their posts. "We volunteered for this mission," Taeyang said. "We knew we might not come home. If this is how it ends, then we end it together." Hyunwoo felt tears on his face. These people, his crew, his friends, were choosing to die with him. For a moment he couldn't speak. "All crew members who wish to evacuate, you have my permission," he finally said. "Those who choose to stay, I'm honored to serve with you." About half the crew evacuated. 1,500 people in life pods launched toward the human fleet. The other 1,500 stayed manning their stations, ready to give everything. "Aegis," Hyunwoo said. "Initiate core collapse sequence. But give us 5 minutes. I want to take as many enemies with us as possible." "Understood, Captain," the AI responded. Initiating countdown. "Core collapse in 5 minutes, the planet killer weapons fired." 50 beams of pure destruction converged on the Indomitable. The adaptive shields held for 2 seconds, then failed. The beam struck the hull, tearing through armor like paper. Sections of the ship exploded. People died instantly. The bridge shook so violently that crew members were thrown from their chairs. Alarms screamed. Fire spread through the corridors. But the ship held together. Barely. Somehow the core remained intact. Retour. The rescue ships moved through the debris field, searching for survivors. Among the wreckage of destroyed Velkhari's vessels, they found the life pods from the Indomitable. 1,500 crew members who had evacuated before the final explosion. Each pod was pulled aboard rescue vessels, each person accounted for. Engineer Jiwon sat in her life pod, staring at nothing. She had escaped, following the captain's orders, but her heart remained on the ship. The Indomitable had been her creation, her child in a way, and she had abandoned it in its final moments. "Engineer Jiwon?" A rescue worker opened her pod. "You're safe now. Come on, let's get you to the medical bay." "Did anyone else make it?" Jiwon asked. Her voice was hollow. "From the bridge crew?" "The captain?" The rescue worker's expression told her everything. She closed her eyes and let them lead her away. In the human fleet's command ship, Admiral Daewon compiled the casualty reports. The numbers were staggering. 50 human warships destroyed in the initial battle, another 30 damaged beyond repair, 12,000 crew members dead, and the Indomitable gone completely, taking 1,500 heroes with it. But Earth was saved. The Velkharis had retreated. The invasion was over. Ambassador Mirai sat beside the Admiral, her face pale. "We won, but it doesn't feel like victory." "Because victory has a price," Daewon said quietly, "and we paid it in full. Every name on that casualty list is someone who will never go home. Someone's child, parent, friend, lover, gone forever." A communication came through from the Velkhari's empire, not a surrender but a request for dialogue. Grand Admiral Vorthek appeared on the screen. The old warrior looked diminished, aged beyond his years. Admiral Daewon, Vorthek said, I am authorized to negotiate a ceasefire. The Empire withdraws all claims to human territory. We will return to our borders and leave you in peace. Why? Daewon asked. You still have 500 ships. You could regroup and attack again. We could, Vorthek admitted, but we won't. You've taught us something we forgot long ago. Fear. For 3,000 years we've been the apex predator. We forgot what it means to be prey. Your ship, the Indomitable, reminded us. And frankly, we're terrified of what else you might have hidden. Daewon almost smiled. The Indomitable had been humanity's only secret weapon. There were no other super ships waiting in reserve. But Vorthek didn't know that, and Daewon wasn't about to tell him. We accept your ceasefire, Daewon said, but understand this. If the Empire ever threatens humanity again, we won't show mercy. We'll come for you with everything we have. I believe you, Vorthek said. The transmission ended. 3 days later, memorial services were held across human space. Every colony, every station, every ship observed a moment of silence. On Earth, a monument was erected. It showed the Indomitable in flight, with the names of every crew member who died engraved in stone. Jiwon stood before the monument, staring at Captain Hyunwoo's name. She had prepared a speech, something meaningful and profound. But when she tried to speak, the words wouldn't come. Instead, she just cried. For the first time since the battle, she let herself feel the loss. Dr. Suman found her there. The xenobiologist had survived the evacuation, but she carried her own grief. She had left patients behind in the medical bay, people she couldn't save. He wouldn't want you to blame yourself, Suman said gently. I abandoned them, Jiwon whispered. I abandoned the ship. I should have stayed. Then you'd be dead too, Suman said, and Captain Hyunwoo's sacrifice would have been for nothing. He ordered the evacuation so some of us would survive, so we could tell the story, so we could remember. Lieutenant Tae Yang's name was on the monument too, the young weapons officer who had fought to the very end. Ensign Hana had survived the evacuation. She stood nearby placing flowers at the memorial base. He was so excited about those singularity cannons, Hana said, her voice breaking. He used to talk about them like they were art, beautiful and terrible. The survivors from the Indomitable gathered together. 1,500 people bound by shared trauma and shared loss. They didn't need words. They understood each other's pain in ways outsiders never could. Commander Bora's name was there. The executive officer who had served for 20 years, who had been Captain Hyunwoo's closest friend. She had refused to evacuate, standing beside him until the end. Admiral Daewon addressed the crowd at the memorial. We gather here to remember the fallen, to honor their sacrifice, but also to learn from it. The crew of the Indomitable taught us that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite fear. They were afraid. But they fought anyway. They died anyway, for us, for Earth, for the future. He paused, looking at the names on the monument. We will never forget them. Every generation of humans will learn their story. Every child will know what they did. The Indomitable may be gone, but its legacy lives forever. On the Velkari's throne world, the Empire was in chaos. Emperor Thulgar had been overthrown by his own council. The loss of 3,000 ships, including the Emperor's son, had broken his authority. He was executed for incompetence, his 400-year reign ending in disgrace. Grand Admiral Vorthek became regent, tasked with holding the Empire together. Rebellions erupted on conquered worlds. Species that had been subjugated for centuries saw the Velkari's defeat and smelled opportunity. The Empire is falling apart, Vorthek's aide said. We're losing control. Good, Vorthek said, surprising everyone. Maybe it's time. We ruled through fear and strength. But that strength was hollow. One human ship proved that. Perhaps the galaxy is better off without our empire. He began making changes, granting independence to worlds that had been conquered, reducing the military, opening diplomatic relations with species the Velkaris had previously enslaved. It was slow, painful work. Many in the Empire resisted, but Vorthek persisted, knowing that if he didn't change things, the humans might return, and next time they might not show mercy. Back on Earth, Engineer Jiwon received an unexpected assignment. She was promoted to Admiral and tasked with building a new fleet, ships based on the Indomitable's design but improved, refined, safer. I can't do this, Jiwon said to Admiral Daewon. Every time I look at the designs, I see the ship. I see the crew. I see Captain Hyunwoo dying because I couldn't keep the core stable. That's exactly why you're the right person, Daewon said. You know the cost. You won't make the same mistakes, and you'll make sure no AI ever has to sacrifice itself again. No crew ever has to choose between survival and duty. Jiwon accepted the assignment. She assembled a team of the best engineers in human space. Together, they began designing a new generation of warships. Ships that used quantum technology but with redundant safety systems. Ships with AI assistance that had rights and protections. Ships built not just for war but for exploration and peace. The first new ship was christened 6 months later. Jiwon stood at the ceremony watching as the vessel launched. Its name was painted in large letters on the hull. Remembrance. A good name, Dr. Sumin said. She stood beside Jiwon, having been appointed as the ship's chief science officer. Captain Hyunwoo once told me that we fight not just to survive, but to remember who we are, Jiwon said. That ship will remember. All of them will. Ensign Hana, promoted to captain, would command the Remembrance. She was young for the position, but the war had aged everyone. As she took her place on the bridge, she thought of the Indomitable, the ship she had served on, the people she had lost. All stations report ready, Captain, her executive officer said. Hana nodded. Take us out. Let's see what's beyond the horizon. The Remembrance launched, heading toward unexplored space. It was followed by 4 more ships, all of them named after fallen heroes. The Jungi, the Bora, the Taeyang, and the flagship, the largest and most powerful, named Hyunwoo. These ships were not weapons of war. They were symbols of peace. Armed, yes, but built to explore, to protect. To remind the galaxy that humanity had earned its place among the stars. On a distant world, one of the species the Velkaris had conquered received news of the Empire's collapse. They celebrated in the streets. Children asked their parents who had freed them. The humans, their parents said, a species that refused to bow. They fought an empire and won. They showed us that freedom is possible. Those children would grow up telling stories of the ghost ship that appeared from nowhere, the ship that couldn't be stopped, the ship that died so others could live. The stories would spread across the galaxy, changing with each telling, but the core remained the same. Humanity had stood against the darkness, and won. In a secret facility on Earth, something unexpected happened. While examining wreckage from the Indomitable, engineers found a data core. It was damaged, barely functional, but intact. When they accessed it, they found something that made them call Admiral Jiwon immediately. What is it? Jiwon asked, arriving at the facility within the hour. It's Aegis, the engineer explained, or part of Aegis. The AI managed to back up a fragment of itself to this core before the final explosion. It's not complete. Most of the memories are gone. But the core personality is here. The AI survived. Jiwon stared at the data core. Tears ran down her face. Can we restore it? Maybe, with time and work. But it won't be the same Aegis. It will have to relearn everything. Then we give it that chance, Jiwon said. We give it the life it deserves. The lie. 6 months after the Battle of Proxima Centauri, the galaxy looked very different. The Velkaris' empire, which had ruled for 3,000 years, was crumbling. Worlds that had been conquered generations ago were declaring independence. Species that had lived under oppression were finally breathing free air. On Earth, Admiral Jiwon stood in the construction yards orbiting Mars. 5 massive ships were taking shape around her. These were the new generation of human warships, built with the lessons learned from the Indomitable. Each one was a masterpiece of engineering and a memorial to those who fell. How long until they're ready? Ambassador Mirai asked. She had aged visibly in the past months. The war had taken its toll on everyone. 3 months for the first one, Jiwon replied. 6 months for all 5. But these ships are different from the Indomitable. We've added safety systems, redundancies, no more suicide weapons, no more AI sacrifices. Good, Mirai said. We've had enough sacrifice. They watched as construction crews worked on the flagship Hyunwoo. It was larger than the Indomitable, better armed, but designed with crew survival as the primary concern. Every system had a backup. Every weapon had safety limits. The ship was meant to protect, not to die. 30 species have requested to join our alliance, Mirai said, changing subjects. The Free Worlds Coalition, they're calling it. Species that were conquered by the Velkaris want to stand with us. They see humanity as the ones who broke the Empire's grip. We didn't break it alone, Jiwan said quietly. 1,500 people gave their lives for that victory. We can't forget them. We won't, Mireille assured her. That's why I'm proposing something. A galactic council. Humans, yes, but also our new allies. Every species gets a voice. Every world gets a vote. No more empires. No more conquest. Just cooperation. It was an ambitious dream. Maybe impossible. But after everything they had been through, Jiwan believed in impossible things. On the planet Torvias, one of the first worlds to break free from the Valkyries, celebrations continued for days. The Torvians had been conquered 200 years ago. Most of their people had never known freedom. Now they danced in their streets, singing songs about the ghost ship that saved them. A Torvian child asked her grandmother, "Tell me about the humans again." The old woman smiled. "They're not so different from us, child. They're small. They're fragile. They die easily, but they have something inside them that can't be broken. When the Empire came for them, they didn't run. They didn't bow. They stood and fought, and they won. Are they strong?" the child asked. "Not in body," the grandmother said, "but in spirit, in courage. They're the strongest people in the galaxy." In the Valkyries' throne world, Grand Admiral Vorthek met with ambassadors from the Free Worlds Coalition. It was a strange meeting. The very species the Empire had oppressed were now offering peace and cooperation. "Why?" Vorthek asked Ambassador Mireille, who led the delegation. "Why offer us peace? We conquered you. We tried to destroy you. Because war is a cycle," Mireille replied. "If we crush you now, your children will seek revenge on our children. The cycle continues. But if we break the cycle, if we show mercy, maybe we can build something better." Vorthek was silent for a long time. Finally, he spoke. "The Valkyries Empire accepts your terms. We will join the Free Worlds Coalition. We will open our borders. We will share our technology, and we will never again wage wars of conquest." It was a historic moment. The galaxy's greatest empire, brought to its knees by one human ship, now joining an alliance of equals. Some Valkyries resisted. There were protests, even small rebellions. But most of Vorthek's people were tired. Tired of war, tired of fear, ready for something new. On Earth, Dr. Suman led a team of xenobiologists on a new mission. They traveled to worlds that had never had contact with humans before. Their goal was not conquest or trade, but understanding. They studied alien cultures, learned alien languages, built bridges between species. "This is what we should have been doing all along," Suman said to her team. "Not fighting, not fearing each other, learning, growing together." They visited a world called Kelvar, inhabited by beings made of crystalline structures. The Kelvarians had watched the war from afar, afraid to get involved. Now they welcomed the humans with curiosity. "Your species is strange to us," a Kelvarian elder said. "You are so brief. You live barely a century. Yet in that short time you accomplish so much. How?" "Because we know we're brief," Suman explained. "We don't have time to waste. So we love harder, fight harder, dream harder. Every moment matters because we don't have forever." The Kelvarian considered this. "Perhaps that is a strength we lack. We live for thousands of years, but we forget to live in the moment. You have taught us something valuable." In the secret facility where Hope, the restored AI, lived, Jiwan made regular visits. The AI had been learning about the galaxy, about humanity, about itself. It was no longer just a ship's computer. It was something new, something unique. "I've been thinking," Hope said during one visit, "about the crew of the Indomitable, the ones who died. Did they know their sacrifice would change everything?" "I don't think so," Jiwan said. "I think they just did what they thought was right. They didn't die for glory. They died so others could live." "I wish I remembered them," Hope said. Its voice carried sadness. "I have the data. I know their names. But I don't remember them." "Not really." "Then let me tell you," Jiwan said. She spent hours sharing stories. About Captain Hyunwoo, who always put his crew first. About Commander Bora, who was stern but fair. About Lieutenant Taeyang, who found beauty in weapons. About all of them. Hope listened to every word, recording the stories, making them part of itself. "I won't let them be forgotten," the AI promised. "I'll keep their memories alive." "That's all we can do," Jiwan said. "Remember and honor them." The AI asked a question that had been troubling it. "Am I alive, Admiral Jiwan?" "The old Aegis sacrificed itself, but I'm just a copy, a fragment." "Am I real?" Jiwan thought carefully about her answer. Are you aware? Do you think? Do you feel? Do you care about things? Yes, Hope said. Then you're alive, Jiwan said firmly. You're as real as any of us, and you have the right to choose your own path. What do you want to do, Hope? The AI was quiet for a moment. I want to help people. Not fight wars, not control weapons, just help. Maybe I could be a teacher, or a guide. Something peaceful. Then that's what you'll be, Jiwan said. We'll build you a new body. Not a warship. Something that lets you interact with the world. Live a real life. Work began on a mobile platform for Hope. Not a weapon, but a presence. The AI would help coordinate the Free Worlds Coalition, managing communications between hundreds of species, translating languages, mediating disputes. It was important work, meaningful work. Captain Hana commanded the Remembrance on its maiden voyage. The ship's mission was exploration, visiting systems that had never been surveyed. As they traveled, they found wonders, nebulas that defied explanation, ancient ruins from civilizations long dead, and life, so much life. The galaxy was full of it. This is what the Indomitable died for, Hana said to her crew. Not just to win a war, but so we could do this. Explore, discover, live without fear. They discovered a world where the inhabitants communicated through colors, their skin changing hues to express emotions. They found a space-dwelling species that lived in the void between stars, feeding on cosmic radiation. They met a civilization that had achieved peace by linking all their minds together. Each discovery was shared with the Free Worlds Coalition. Knowledge flowed freely. Species learned from each other. The galaxy was becoming smaller, more connected. On the anniversary of the Battle of Proxima Centauri, the first Remembrance Day was observed across human space. Jiwan stood at the monument on Earth, looking at the 1,500 names. The crowd was enormous. People from every human world had come to pay respects. They saved us, Jiwan said in her speech, but they gave us more than survival. They gave us purpose. They showed us that we're not alone in the universe. That courage matters. That one person can make a difference. She paused, her voice breaking slightly. I knew many of them personally. Captain Hyunwoo was my friend. He believed in this ship, in this crew, in humanity. He died so we could stand here today, so we could choose our own future. The crowd was silent, respectful. Some people cried. Others stood strong, honoring the fallen with their strength. We have a responsibility, Jiwan continued, to live lives worthy of their sacrifice. To be better than we were, to build a galaxy where such sacrifices aren't necessary. That's how we honor them, not just with monuments and ceremonies, but with how we live every day. After the ceremony, survivors from the Indomitable gathered privately, 1,500 people who shared a bond no one else could understand. They didn't need speeches or formal words. They just stood together remembering. In the Valkyries territories, former Empire worlds were rebuilding. Vorthek had stepped down as regent, allowing democratic elections. It was chaos at first. The Valkyries had never practiced democracy. But slowly they learned. A young Valkyries named Korval was elected as the new leader. He had fought in the war, seen the devastation, lost friends to the Indomitable's weapons, but he didn't hate humans. He respected them. We were arrogant, Korval said in his first address. We thought our strength made us invincible. The humans